G'day, this is Expand the Phantom Podcast. We are a website, a podcast, and a way of life. You can find us at chroniclechamber.com. I am Jermayn. Now, if you listen to this podcast, chances are you're obsessed with purple, or blue if you live in Scandinavia, or red if you live in South America, and you have an unhealthy fetish on all things phantom. Now, this podcast is something a little bit different as we chat about collecting. We have interviewed and chatted with a few collectors in the past, like Pete Clowes in episode 88, John Cookson in episode 77, Antonio Di Dio in 258, Om Roy in 108, and Gary Horn in episode 64. But one thing we have not addressed much is what happens to your collections when it is time to pass the collection on to the next person. So today I am joined by two guests, Sean and Nick. How are you, Sean?
Good, thanks, Jermayn. Thanks for the invitation to be part of this.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Nick, how about yourself?
Very good, thank you, Jermayn. And I think I'm setting a new record for more appearances on the podcast than me actually listening to the podcast.
So Nick, can we actually be semi-serious today, or what? Or we're just going to keep it going as it goes? We'll see what happens.
Jeez, that seems unlikely.
Fair call.
Look, this podcast may seem morbid to a lot of people, but what happens if you are not prepared and your collection is left to your loved ones to deal with? Can they handle that? Do they want your collection? This podcast is to at least start the preparation and or conversation so you can pass the collection on to the next generation. So what we're going to do, we're going to talk about a lot of things. Hopefully it will make a lot of sense to some people, and it might just, I guess, get the conversation started. So we've got a whole bunch of things that we want to start that we will discuss, but then we'll probably get a little bit off topic, and we'll kind of go from there. Anything you guys want to start off with?
I'll just start by saying anything I may say shouldn't be taken out of context. It isn't a slap against people individually or collecting as a whole. Everyone's entitled to their opinions about their collections, but let's see where this goes.
It just sounds like Sean has consulted a lawyer before coming onto this podcast.
No, I just know people.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm just saying, look, we're all different. We've all got opinions. And those who have heard us before and have seen us at the Leaf Hawk dinner and things know that we have fairly strong opinions, but also, we do respect other people's opinions as well. We like to have a bit of fun. And this, as Jermayn said, it can be a bit of a morbid topic, especially I've had a close friend die recently, and I've had a close family member pass away a few months ago. So, I've been going through this myself, but yeah, everyone dies. Everyone's got stuff to get rid of.
Yeah. And I think we've all come across it where we've known people or been involved with people that have collected things or had valuables, and it gets left to someone who doesn't know so much about it or care so much about it.
Don't give it. They would not. Some of the stuff they would not give a flying two hoots about.
No, they would not. But and that's what we're here to talk about tonight.
Yeah. Now, we are all collectors. We all collect different things with the Phantom and some other things. Like I collect, I collect original artwork. I collect Phantom comics from around the world. I know, Nick, you like your cards. I can see some Herm's books behind you and stuff like that. And Sean, you collect different things as well. I know you've got some original artwork, and I know you collect other cards as well as the Phantom as well. So we're all collectors. So we all understand the desire to hunt things down, to collect things. We've all got that in common. Now, for those who don't know, I've worked at auction companies for the last 10 plus years. Now, several times we have actually been contacted to sell off people's collections. One which I know I've told you guys before, and I've probably told on this podcast before, was a Matchbox collection. It was an impressive Matchbox collection. He had over 50,000 different pieces of Matchbox collection. Now, he also had a Playboy collection. Now, that Playboy collection became landfill. It did not even bother getting collected or sold off. Now, this Matchbox collection, he had a ledger. So he had an old school ledger, leather. It was probably, each side, it was probably about, 30, 40 centimeters long. He had where he brought it, the country that he brought it from, and how much it cost him, and everything like that. You know what we did with that ledger? We threw it away because a ledger for how much you've spent on your collection is a waste of time. It might be good for records, but it does not matter one little bit. So,
Jermaine, I would suggest it's good for insurance value. Channeling someone else we know quite well, very good for that. But in terms of what the actual value of the item is, 100% agree.
yeah, yeah.
I just want to quickly want to say is that Jermayn said that Playboy collection went to landfill, and I'm going to dispute that and one day go to Jermayn's house and prove that absolutely wrong.
I'd also like to point out from some of the auction results I've seen from a local auction house that loves to auction off individual issues of Playboy from the 70s, that may have been a mistake.
Maybe. So one of the first things that I want to talk about is, and I thought this was interesting when I looked into it, is the difference between an investment and a hobby. Now, because I think we all go through different stages in our collection where we read a comic, we read the Phantom because we enjoy it, and then we keep the comic so we can read it again. And then before you know it, you are reading and buying every single comic that comes out. And then before you know it, you've got a couple hundred, and then it becomes a collection. But that's still not an investment. Would you guys agree with that?
100%. Yep.
So
there's nothing, 100% nothing wrong with doing exactly what you said. And that's how most people start a collection, is just by not throwing stuff out. And then they make the next step into actively seeking out and going from there. But that's right. It's the concept that just because you bought something, it should be worth more tomorrow than it is today. That's not an investment decision.
Yeah. So I chat GPT this. So, and they had, the main difference is intent. An investment is made to generate financial returns through assets like stocks or property or gold, in the case of what's happened in the last couple of days. While a hobby is pursued for personal enjoyment and fulfillment rather than profit. So I thought that sentence was very good at explaining the difference. A hobby is something that we enjoy. We buy the comic, we read the comic, we collect the trading cards, we hunt down the variant covers, we hunt down comics from around the world, we collect original artwork as a hobby because it's something that we enjoy.
There can be both though as well. So
yes,
your hobby can be an investment in the right places. So I clearly collect Phantom stuff, hence why I'm here. I've got next to me, which kind of out of sight on the other side, I've got a 88 or so Clive Cussler books. He's now passed away. His books are written by other people. I've got some of his books that I did buy to have for my collection, but because they're signed by him, there is potential investment value there. I didn't buy it for that reason. I think that's a clear differentiation. There is like buying to make money as an investment, as opposed to just hoping it does. I have original artwork as well. I didn't buy them for the investment purposes. I like them on my wall, as many as my wife will let me put up at the moment. But you, in the artwork world, even with the Phantom, 100% you could buy some of those pieces as an investment. Some of them, though, you'd still be, no disrespect to some of these artists who are still alive and still making work at the moment, not worth anything. Would they be an investment? You could, might be a bit of a gamble, but yeah, I think I agree. The majority of the stuff that you should be buying, and I suppose I'll talk about this more in detail later, is you're buying for yourself, not for profit.
I think the other thing to touch on there, Nick, is in my opinion, because I've seen it, and it's joked about quite a lot in this podcast. Investment, if you like, is used as a term that can be used to explain a collection and justify a collection and justify an expense that is spent on a collection rather than I just liked it, so I bought it. So if you can justify it to yourself that you've bought it, but it's not part of your collection, it's actually an investment, it sits a bit happier. Along with the 20, it costs $20. everything costs $20. Therefore, it's going to be worth more tomorrow, even if it didn't really cost $20. You can convince yourself it cost $20, or a fruit cost $1.50, because that's what they were when we all started to buy them. But the
Yes,
thing
20
about
years ago, they were $1.50.
it was, and as a subscriber, I actually don't know how much they are anymore, because I don't really look at it. They just arrive in my letterbox.
Do they arrive in numerical order though, do they, Sean?
No, they do not.
don't know.
But that is my fault, because I collect stuff, Nick, that is not an investment. And that's a good point. I collect the signature series. Do I actually believe that the 3 or 4-fold price increase on those signature series, in some instances, I'm going to get that back? No, but that's not why I buy them. I buy them because I like to collect signatures, and I like to collect those comics. For it to be an investment, anything to be an investment, you have to have an understanding of the market. And the market goes up and down all the time. The market sets what the price is, and the market does not give two hoots as to what you paid for the item. So it decides how much it's going to pay, and the market for phantom memorabilia, unfortunately, is relatively small compared to a lot of other things that you just mentioned, like stocks, for instance, or coins, or football cards, or basketball cards, or anything else. So that market, if you're going to legitimately buy an investment in this space, and Nick, you and I both do it, and Jermayn, you have too. That's one of the things about being a collector. You understand typically what pricing is and what's fair and what's not. If someone offered me a Frew #1, legitimate #1 for $1,000, of course I'd jump all over it. And that would legitimately be an investment, because I know I could resell that for $15,000.
Yep.
Or I could keep it in my collection as a collector, and that's the dilemma I would then have. But if I go and buy a Frew #1 for $50,000, well, that may be an investment, or it may just be I really wanted it for my collection.
Yeah, and use that as a great example. There are some people who listen to this podcast who have a #1. There's 3 or 4 that I know of. Last sale price was $22-ish thousand from memory. I know there was one a few years ago, 15 grand. So it has gone up, and obviously quality can make a difference there. Would I love to have that in my collection? Yes. Could I afford it now? No. As Sean said, though, if you got offered $1,000 to buy one, I would 100% buy it. But then my brain would be going, I could sell this and make $15,000-16,000 profit. How much do I want that in my collection? And it comes back to, what do you want in your collection as well? So I'll be going 15 grand, pay that for mortgage. I've got a 2-year-old daughter, and she'll probably come up again, because all this may be hers one day. But what could I do with that 15 grand? Do I hang on for longer because it might be worth $30,000 in a few years' time? That's the risk. That's investing. And it even comes back to some of the stuff I buy. I recently, probably 18 months ago, someone was selling a massive lot of Frew 500s, and I got them for a very good price, and I sold a bunch off, made some money, because I knew that would be an investment, as in I could sell them pretty quickly and make some money back. And then, did I then invest that profits? No, I just go and buy more phantom stuff, and then I can justify to myself and my wife saying it didn't cost me anything. So it's how you interpret investment is different. But I know now a lot of my collection, I don't keep a record of my collection and what it's worth. Generally, like line by line, as the ledger example that Jerm gave before. I know some of them I paid $5-6 for, some I paid $20. I've got 2 left I need to get. I'm probably going to pay overs to get the last 2 500s I want, because I want that in my collection. Is that an investment? No, it is not. And again,
it's what's called a sunken cost, Nick. You've spent the money. You don't expect to get it back. If you do, great.
Yep.
To me, the concept of an investment is about intent. So if you're buying something and you are buying it as an investment, you are intending to sell it. You're not intending it for it to be in your collection for any period of time. If you are, you're kidding yourself. You're just collecting it. It's a justification, like I said before. So if you're, as an investment, it's all about, what are you paying compared to what the market price is? Or it's speculation, saying, I'm purchasing this and I expect at this price and I expect the market to increase. Therefore, when I sell it, it will be worth more money. But the point is, it's not about being in your collection. If you think it's going to be in your collection, you're not investing in it. You're collecting it. That's my opinion anyway.
Okay. Nick, anything you want to add?
No, but also I think there's something popped in my head there about intent to invest. There are also different ways to invest. You can just go and buy it and it sits on your shelf and then you sell it. But you can actually invest, in Australia at least, through self-managed superannuation funds and things like that as well. So there actually can be an intent, but there's also rules around that. If I went and bought a 1960s Cy Barry Sunday and said, this is part of my retirement future, I actually can't display that on my walls. It has to be put away.
Legitimate investment. That's correct.
Yep.
Yep.
So there's actually different ways to invest as well. So if you're buying it to have it in your collection, hang on your walls, I tend to agree with Sean. It's not technically really an investment because you haven't made a conscious decision to it. You may have said it's an investment, but really it is forming part of your collection. Great if it makes money, and down the track you're thinking, yep, when I hit 75, I'm going to sell that off and make some money. Bloody good if you do. But I'm not buying it. I'm personally not thinking that I'm going to get much of my money back for it because I just like having it on the walls.
Yeah, and I'll admit that there's two parts of what I do. There's the stuff Nick and I have spent a lot of time talking about this, but there's stuff I buy for my collection and there's stuff I buy because I understand it, because it's something I'm interested in and I know it's cheap and I know I can sell it and I can use the difference or the profit to expand my collection. So I'm effectively investing in my collection by buying and selling. And I know some people struggle with that concept.
So you're investing to invest in a collection that isn't an investment.
Sorry, I'm subsidising is a better word. I'm subsidising my collection by using money, by working to generate income that I can spend on my collection rather than taking it out of what my family has.
Yep.
And that means I can justify it to my partner, who will not kill me as much when I say I've just spent this much money on this, because I can then say, but I sold that to get the money. So that's a conscious decision.
So you could argue that you're talking about like more short-term investments there, where you're flipping.
There's two types, but I still think the intent comes into it. I mean, you can buy stuff. You can, as I said, there's speculation as in you think it's going to increase, or there's buy sell now. But the intent is still the same. The intent is not to stick it in your collection and leave it there for the next 50 years and for someone else to sell it in the future because it'll be worth more. The point is that you're investing. Otherwise, you're just justifying.
So, okay. So what items would be good to use as an investment from a phantom
speculatively, or so assuming that
speculatively, this is all speculative. We're not financial advisors, because if we were, we'll tell you not to. We'll tell you to do it in more foolproof items than the Phantom.
We'd tell you to go somewhere else other than the Phantom, 100%.
Yeah, but because there are going to be people that are going to listen to this podcast and would want to, I guess, collect things, whether it's initially for their collection and then it become an investment when they sell it 5-10 years down the track, or flip it like you do. But there, like you said, it is a good idea for it to self-fund your collection, but people are going to want to know, well, what are some items that they can use as an investment? So obviously through comics over 1,000 are probably not going to, because they're only ever going to be worth $1.
Well, there is what is it, the 75th, no, the 50th, which one is it? The
1500th.
The 1500th. Clearly that's an investment. If you want to see gorgeous cover art, that would be the one everyone should have in their collection. But realistically, as I said before, it's about price. So it's about, if I was looking to invest in anything Phantom related, I'd want to know what's the current market for an item. That's the first thing. So it comes up on Facebook quite a lot. Monkeys of Melbourne lamps. I've got a Monkeys of Melbourne lamp. What should I sell it for? And someone will pipe up, oh, they're on
Balls.
eBay for $1,200, $1,500, and those ones on eBay have been there for about 7 years and haven't sold. And that's not where I'd be looking. So if I could buy one of those cheaply enough, yes, it is an investment going forward. If it's that sort of money, well, no, it's not. But that's
So you're
one.
talking about from a buy low, sell high point of view.
Yes, but it's also knowing if you're buying above the market now, you're assuming the market is going to catch up with you. So you either know something that everyone else doesn't because you're predicting that you're paying more than everyone else. So therefore, the market's going to go past you. That may be the case in some items, and the items I'd be looking at would be those that have more general appeal. So you mentioned art before. So comic book art as a whole is on the upward slope at the moment. So if you could find an artist that has done some Phantom stuff but has mainstream appeal, so outside the Phantom community, that is something that could potentially appreciate. So we all talk about Cy Barry, and Cy Barry's art's amazing, but there is a lot of it, and it is quite specific to Phantom collectors, apart from the early stuff, which goes more into the 60s stuff, goes into the classic art, which people will collect. But if you pick someone that draws other characters where there's more mainstream appeal, that may be something that you could speculate on and go up. So there's been a couple in the last couple of days. The bloke that's done the covers for the new Phantom that does Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, who's
Freddie Williams. Freddie
exactly
Williams
right.
the second.
Yep.
Yeah.
So he's selling his stuff at what, $1,200 US? Now, for one of his pieces of art, that may be reasonable. And because it's a more minority character, that may be the reason the price point's lower. But in the future, there is a chance that may appreciate.
Graham Nolan is the same. He's he's a lot of stuff outside of it. The Cy Barry stuff, like it says, a lot of it. And this is going to sound a bit again morbid. It's a morbid, semi-morbid topic we're talking about, like investing for in the future and your death and stuff. Cy Barry is an old man. He's not going to be around for another 70 years. So when he passes away, it's going to be very sad for his family. He's been he's been around a time. He's got grandkids and great grandkids and his son David and stuff. But in reality, he's an artist who's well known. Someone passes away, their value goes up. As Sean was mentioned before, he collects signatures, and I know he's sold some things before. He's messaged a group chat and said, "Just sold a card on eBay that I'd bought. Don't know what it sold for, and it went really high." And he's seen that person passed, some obscure movie actor passed away, and a card that had been on sale for 6 months sold overnight, but just because the person died, all of a sudden it's like that person's more valuable. It's reality. So if you want to invest in artwork, Cy's not making it anymore. Graham Nolan's still making it. Freddie Williams is still making it. It's morbid. It's crass, and Cy Barry, everyone who know have met him has said he's one of the nicest people ever meet. He ain't going to live forever, and that's reality.
What was I going to say? Don Newton's probably another artist that's got wide,
very much so,
wide appeal, whether it's from a Phantom point of view. So no, that's good. Now, one more thing I want to talk about from an investment and hobby kind of point of view is a lot of hobbies that people have, and look, I think everyone should have hobbies because it's great to kind of get you out of society and busyness and stuff like that. But most hobbies you don't get any money back. Very rarely do you get money back. With the Phantom, and even with stuff like this with collecting, is let's just say you may spend $100,000, which isn't beyond the realms of that's believable. But if you could get even 10 or maybe 15 or even 20% of that back after your decades of collecting, that's a win, I see. I think that's a win because most hobbies only take your money and at least you get something back.
Yeah, I'd agree. And I think one of the places that people go wrong with pricing their collection is that they look at retail price. They look at it and say, well, I can buy a 1700s Frou. A shop is selling a 1700s Frou for $5. Therefore, all of my 1700s Frou are worth $5. Whereas that's just not the case, because there is that strata that exists with selling, where you've got full retail at a comic shop, and then below that you've got, I don't know, probably Facebook. Then below that you've got second-hand shop, and below that you've probably got auction house. And people don't realise that the way I look at pricing is to, and I'm sure most people do, pick up eBay, look up sold item listings, not for sale item listings. And I think you're right. Jermayn. I mean, if you think about other collections you might have in your house, if you collect, I don't know, Nick said Clive Cussler books. You can buy Clive Cussler books for what, $2-3 at an op shop, Nick?
I was literally at a book sale today. My wife bought a lot of books for herself and her mother, and they were selling kids' books for $1 and general fiction and other books for $3.
Yep.
So I could have actually, it's literally bought up. I looked at some Clive Cussler's, some Matthew Riley's. Well, I've got a bunch of James Patterson's, David Backey's, all the stuff I read, $3.
And what do they retail for? $30-$40 brand new. That's the recommended retail price.
Yep. Like you get them from the big box discounters for $16-$18.
Yeah, even if a new release novel comes out, it's $35. You'll buy it at Big W for $20, and then 3 days later at the op shop you could probably buy it for $3. So I think you're 100% right, Jermayn. There'll be certain items in a collection that will boost the value, but if you got 15-20% back, I wouldn't be sneezing at that. You've got your enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, I am very specific in what I collect, and that was, well, back to when I first started collecting Phantom comics. So that was through 1063, whatever year that was, early to mid 90s, and then I bought some trading cards, and I stopped collecting. I think a few people did around this time. Was the last years of the Jim Shepard era, and it was getting a bit blah, and I kind of moved in with my now wife, and kind of rediscovered my collection and found some great people through it, which made me want to collect again. But very conscious at the time of what I'm going to collect. So I don't have all the figurines of the glasswares and stuff like that. It just wasn't me. And it's again limiting what I want to spend and collect. I used to collect all the diaries, so I actually went back. I've missed some years, so I went back and got them all and bought them. And now I just realize I don't want them. I'd been in storage for a while when I was house when my baby was born and had to move things around and moved house. It's like, I don't want these. Ever try to sell a Phantom diary? Like, point worthless. It's getting to the point I was going to take them to the op shop and get rid of them just to get them out of my house. Like, I don't want them taking room in my cupboard anymore. It's just the Phantom board game, which is right up there in the corner over there. I bought it back to Kickstarter. Never played it, and I realized, why do I have it in my house? I don't want it. Like, what am I going to get for it? Probably half price, if not less than that. I've taken a loss on it. Did I get enjoyment out of it? That one, probably not. I am kind of glad that I supported the Kickstarter and it supported the artists and local stuff. So that was kind of the reason I did it. Just don't want a mouse anymore. That's just reality. And there's another collection I'm trying to sell off is Guinness Book of Records, and it's like, she's going to take a bit of bath in this. And as my wife said to me, you didn't buy it for an investment. You bought it because at the time it brought you joy. And that's the thing. It's like, yep, bring them joy. Well, now bring me joy is getting them out of my house. And there's another example. Like I've got, and this is to rile up a certain Steve Siebert, one of our friends. I've got the Phantom King, the Phantom #1, slabbed by CBS at a 9.8.
Oh, it must be worth more because it's a 9.8, Nick.
And that's the thing. Like people go like, oh. Firstly, some people go like, Steve, like, why is it a classic? What a load of crap! It's ridiculous. I tend to agree in some ways that what's the point? You've got a comic you can't read. At least now I know that this is encased, it's protected. Does it add value because it's in a bit of plastic? Some people think so. Did I buy this as an investment? No. I was buying a crap load of other stuff from my comic shop for my collection. That was going cheap. I've got a fairly good job. I could spend $35 on getting that shipped to me from America. That probably cost someone $30 to slab it. They didn't make money on it, thinking they'd slab it and make money. I've just got something that's a bit of a novelty, looks good on the shelf. I bought it because, not as an investment, because I liked it. it was a bit of a fun to have on the shelf. And the same thing too with my one other slab thing, CGC 9 of Charlton Comics number 35. Is it an investment? No, these are, I could not sell these. I bought a massive collection once for a good price. I couldn't sell them for $10, these series. Why did I get one slabbed? I got it cheap. It was nice to have a slab comic in my collection and they look good on the shelf. Simple as that.
But if it was a Fruit #1 or a Phantom Man #1 or a Ace comic or or something like that.
If it was King #1 slabbed at night, it'd be worth a bit of money now to go by resin auctions.
That's probably something to note down in the diary, Jermayn. Slabbed versus not slabbed would be an entire podcast. You get John Cookson on to have a debate with various people about that, because I know he's one that does like that.
I've got a few slabbed comics. I brought a feature books number 6.5 or something like that. That was slabbed, and it's like, it's probably about the second or third best quality one I've got out there. I had some money at the time, some money that was owed to me came, and then that was up for sale. And it's like, well, it was something that I wanted to get. I wanted to buy all the feature books. I haven't quite got it yet. And then it's like, if I buy this, I know it's going to be in that condition for that price. And, and so it's it's not a short-term investment. It's probably not even an investment, but I know that will, if I was to sell it, at least the condition's going to be good for it to be sold, 10 years down the track or 20 years or whatever.
I do think too with slabbed comics, one of the things that people sort of don't pay attention to as much as they should is it protects the comic. So if I had a Fruit #1, I'd probably slab it because there's no chance I'm going to damage it any worse than what it is. But then you do get into, and you see it with American stuff, cards and comics, where there becomes a debate about, should I slab this comic? Should I slab this card? Because if I get a poor grade, I'm actually devaluing. It's actually worth less than what it is unslabbed. That's another complete other ridiculous conversation.
I've seen a video where someone's taken comics out of a slab because they knew they could get it pressed and get a higher grade. And there's also seen videos on cards where some Jordan cards, over time, so many have been slabbed. What used to be a 9 is probably isn't a 9 anymore. It's an 8. Things like that happen as well. I'm even going back to other things like how things value over time. This is a Dynamic Marketing Series 1 Lee Falk G0 card signed by Lee Falk.
See, I'd potentially get that slabbed but that's in a one touch, so that's not going to get damaged.
No, so he's been dead for years. This card, I can't remember what I paid for it, but it's still, I might have paid $80-90. I think I got a fairly good price. That's one of the reasons I bought it. It's still only a $120 card. He's been dead for years. He ain't selling any more stuff. But it comes back to the whole thing of all, it's like, Phantom's still pretty niche.
Yeah. Look, the only slab thing I've got is a signed card from the bloke that played Bill Preston Esquire in Bill and Ted, which I paid about $10 for, and I'm pretty happy to have it.
I should recommend you tell us when you bought that. It's gone, geez, that's niche.
That is so niche.
I like science stuff. I mean, there's liking science stuff, and then there's just like,
well, it's autographed. But the thing is, someone's paid. You're right. Someone's paid more to have that slabbed than what I paid for the entire card.
So we're gonna move on a little bit, and we're going to talk about. I've titled this bit as "How to Prep for Doomsday." Now, that's a bit of a morbid way of thinking it, but unfortunately, we're not going to live forever. All of us aren't going to live forever. We've all got families. We've all got kids, and the chances are majority of the kids are not going to be wanting to collect the Phantom or, other stuff that we've got in our collection when we pass on. So this is going to, look, it sounds a little bit morbid talking about this type of stuff, but hey, I think it's something that we actually need to discuss, because I've seen it in my work and I've seen it with collectors in the Phantom world as well. So I want to start off with this thing. I was talking to someone this week, and they said, Google Swedish death cleaning. That apparently it's a concept called Swedish death cleaning. Now, I Googled it. I must admit, I hadn't heard of it. And so these are the key principles of Swedish death cleaning. One, purposeful decluttering. The core idea is to remove items you no longer need or use, reduce clutter, and make your home more comfortable. Two, consideration for loved ones. The main goal is to prevent your family or friends from being burdened with the task of sorting through and disposing of your belongings after you pass away. Three, focus on what you love. You're encouraged to keep items that are important to you, allowing you to enjoy them in life and to pass them on to others who will appreciate them. Four, embrace the memories. Instead of just getting rid of items, take the time to remember what they meant to you. This can involve telling stories or taking photos of special objects. And then the last one, it is a process, not a task. Swedish death cleaning is not about a rapid overhaul, but a gradual and ongoing process of decluttering, mindful purchasing, and organizing your space.
So the first thing I'd say on that, Jermaine, is I'm very disappointed you didn't get Mikhail in just to talk to get him back to the podcast. This was the chance to get him here to talk about it in depth, being Swedish, whereas we're just three Aussies who've got no clue.
Yeah, we do have a lot of Swedish friends being the fansmen. That's one thing we do share though. So maybe we can it's
Roxette was a massive band here in the 90s as well. So we'll accept a little bit of a Swedish link. I know, but before that, but that was before I was born. Well, not really, but
It's an interesting concept, and I do like it because, you know, we're of a certain vintage, and you know, parents are aging, etc. So you kind of want them to get rid of their crap before we have to deal with it. But I think one of the most important things there that in that whole thing, because hopefully we're not at that stage where we need to worry about, you know, decluttering. Going by Jermayn, the background of Jermayn, though, he probably should think about it more seriously than the rest of us.
So much.
But I think the standout point there was
we really haven't picked on Jermayn at all tonight, Nick. We've got this down going quite a lot.
The purposeful purchasing, and I think that should reflect life in general. It comes with that kind of, you know, environmental tinge in its own right, and the circular economy of reuse before you and recycle before you chuck out and stuff like that as well. But like I mentioned before, I have a fairly linear collection of some artwork, trading cards, and comics and phantom books. Is pretty much unlimited too. It's still, you know, still over 2,000 items. But I'm not buying everything, and yeah, just moved house we've got rid of a lot of stuff. My wife reads a lot of books, like 80 books a year. She's gotten rid of a lot of books lately to declutter, saying that she's bought 16 more today. But
only for a couple of dollars each.
Exactly. So, okay, get rid of them. But you don't need stuff. So what do you want? If you want everything in that collection, that's fine. Collect what you want, but be mindful of then the effort to go and get rid of stuff.
Yeah.
And that legacy of what you're leaving behind to your family. My friend who recently passed away very unexpectedly at a young age, he had over 300 bottles of whiskey in his collection. So now the family's left with that. Thankfully, they've got he's had good records of what he owed and what he paid for it, because some of them will be appreciating assets, some will not. But and he's got some great people and friends who will support the family in getting rid of that. But that's the kind of thing, like if you drop dead at 80 and you've never sold a single thing or got rid of a single thing, you're going to have a lot of crap in your house.
So I got a bit of a theory about this. Now, I am going to offend some people with this, but I wonder if it's a generational culture thing, like baby boomers and, like where people, and I see this a lot in my work. I go to people's yards and they don't throw away anything, you know. We can call it hoarders, we can call it poverty mindset, or, whatever it is, but we live in a society where if it's broken, we can throw it out because it's cheaper just to buy a new one than it is to go fix something. So I wonder if our parents and above, where it's a generational thing where you don't throw anything out because you want to keep a hold of it. And so I think it also comes into your collecting as well. I think collectors our age, and I've watched a lot of like videos on trading card collectors or Pokemon collectors and stuff like that, where they're buying to flip to fund their own personal collection, and they say, oh yeah, this is actually going into my collection, this is not part of like the business and stuff like that. So I wonder if there is that cultural difference where it's holding on to things because never get rid of it, compared to where it's like, well, I'll buy it, like what you said, Nick, I'll buy all those 500s, I'll add to my collection, and then I'll sell the rest, and what I sell will kind of fund. So
I think you're partly right in my view. I think a big thing about to kind of start at the end of yours, Jermayn, is the flipping bit. It is a lot easier to buy and sell nowadays. You have the conventions in the big cities, especially in the USA. You have Facebook Marketplace, you have eBay, so it is easy to buy and sell. I can go to the local shop and have something listed, straight away, kind of thing. So that's a lot easier. Definitely the throwaway mindset, I think, is also relevant. But at the same time, young people can just buy stuff that is so much cheaper, so that they still hoard their clothes, cards, or whatever, because you can buy stuff a lot cheaper. So I think it's a bit of both.
I think it also comes back to a bit of the collector mindset, particularly above the, God, I hate to say it because I'm the oldest of the three of us, the people that are slightly older than me, where they're so ingratiated into their own collections that they fully believe that their collection is the most important thing in the world, and that everyone else should be appreciative of their collection and should love their collection just as much as them. So I've seen, and I have actually seen it in my own personal life, not with Phantom stuff, but other collections where people will pass away and they think they're actually leaving a gift to their loved ones by leaving their collections to them, not realizing that those people actually really don't care about their collection. The only person that does is the person that passed away. Look, I've had a personal experience. I love football. We won't go into too much about that at the moment, but I mentioned to my, still doing better than your team, Nick. I mentioned to my daughter, because it's that time of year, starting to get letters from football clubs saying, do you want to get a new membership for next year? Because of course, once you're out of the finals, who cares? And I said to my daughter, my 16-year-old daughter, do you want another membership for next year? And she said to me straight, Dad, the only reason I've got a membership is because you've got one. So not really. In other words, she was, and it was actually the nicest thing that she said that I've heard for a long time. She was only going to the football and only had a membership because she thought it was important to me.
Yeah.
Not because it was important to her.
Mm.
Whereas in reality, and I love spending time with her. I don't care if she likes my football team or not. That's not relevant to me. It's about the time we spent together. But that's where collectors, in my opinion, can go wrong. They think that because they're so passionate about it, everyone else should be too.
Yeah. No, very good. So we've kind of talked about that. Now I want to talk about when you get to the point, and I think everyone gets to the point at a different time of their life, of passing the collection onto the next generation, whether it's selling some stuff and then keeping some stuff for you, and then so that way there's less for your family to sell or whatever. But like for instance, all right, I'm now reaching 80. I've got this big collection. What do I do with it? How do I pass it on to the next generation? So we just want to talk about some practical ways. So anything you just want to start off with, or anything like that, and then we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, I'll go first.
I was going to say, you go first, Sean. I just want to say one thing first. Start before you're ready.
Yeah, 100%. Look, my stance has always been, and I've been upfront about it, that my collection is my collection. I don't think my kids give a toss, and that's fine. I would prefer for my kids and my family to have the money to do what they can with it. I think the best person to be able to disperse my collection is me. And I may keep certain select pieces, which I may choose to pass on to my kids, which I actually think that if I left them one or two things, they'd be quite happy to have, as I inherited from my grandparents.
Yeah. So just jumping on that. So this is something that I've started doing now. I'm wary about showing this because, you know, if other people get the idea, they might try and do something as well. But this is
I've got a
something
book
that
exactly like that, Jermayn. So just be careful.
so this is it's a leather bound book and it's got blank bits of paper in it. Now, what I've been doing, and this is something that one of my kids has actually expressed an interest of it being passed down to her, is that it's basically every convention I go to, I get one or two sketches with the year, the artist, the convention and stuff like that. Just so that way it's like a memory book. So it's something that, you know, with my kids, we go and get an artist. They choose it. Some of them are well known, like this one here is a Power Rangers artist. As you can tell, it looks like a Power Ranger, but you know, they're not all Phantom artists, but it's something that again, it's a memory. So in an ideal world, they're not going to want all this. But you know, this could be something that, you know, that could become a family heirloom or something like that that could be passed down in generations. I very doubt I'll be able to fill this book in my lifetime, but maybe one of my kids might want to continue and finish the book.
And I think, having seen that is a brilliant idea because it engages your kids. They've got a memory of it. They've been involved in it. It's going to remind them of you, but it's not 50 cubic meters of Phantom stuff. It's something that they can look at every single time they open a page. It's going to remind them of you and what they did to you. And that's exactly what I'm talking about. So if you've got a couple of select items that mean something to someone, not just, you know, I don't know, something that means something to you.
Yeah.
Like I've got pieces that are important to me, but they're not going to be important to my kids. It's something they've got to engage with. Yeah, a piece that one of the few that are actually allowed to be out in the open. But if they had an affiliation with, that monkey's bust has always been up on the shelf, can I have that, Dad? Of course.
Yeah.
They're going to care about that more than even if they had a Fru number one. They couldn't care about the Fru number one. They care a lot about the 25 grand, but not the Fru number one.
Yeah, it comes back to that experience thing. As you know, the people always say, like, I hate this kind of the cliche stuff, but making memories.
Yeah.
Like, because you've involved them, and it's not just something that Dad had. It is something that we did with Dad. So my daughter is only 2, so you know, we're not at that kind of stage of what she's interested in. Well, she's interested in the Wiggles, and we'll go to the concert soon. Get excited, but it's.
I'm so sorry.
I don't
I thought I was past the Wiggles, to be honest, and then they've all changed again.
So that's what happens when you have babies when you're in your 40s.
Yes.
Sorry, you're in your 40s too, Nick. When you have babies after you've had other babies and you've had no, I did that too. I'll stop. Don't worry.
Yeah.
One day, when she might get in the Phantom, she might not, but we have other things that we already do together. So, first time in a few weeks because of weather, I took her to park run. So hopefully, when she's older and she can run and be ready to herself, that's something we'll do on the Saturday mornings. We get up and go to park run and that kind of stuff. Or I went to athletics, and I'd love my daughter to do a little less because those are the memories I've had. But hopefully, she's interested in that. And that's the memories you do the things you do together. It's not necessarily the physical things. Or in Jermayn's case, it's both. It's so. And I think that thing is like. We've heard other people before say about offloading your what you do with your fandom collections. Oh, I donate it to the local museums. Like they don't want crappy comics from the 90s. Like donating it to them, like I'll just sell it. Like bequeathing something is not going to work either. So like, what's the most practical kind of thing? Which
I think
the original question
yeah.
is how do you get rid of your collection? Is
I think the beauty about doing it before you pass is I think first of all, you need to get to the point where you realize that you're not selling the memories, you're just selling the items.
Yep.
So, and then as we went through the things with the Swedish death cleaning is, it's a process, not a task. It's not a rapid overhaul, let's just throw it all away. You're embracing the memories. You are focusing on what you love. So say, for instance, if you just love original art, get rid of everything else. And then you can use that money to buy original art. Or if you are just wanting to get throughs under 50, and because you think that's where you want to focus on, you can sell everything else and then use that money to do that. And then again, because that's another one that they called is a purposeful decluttering. So I think that's where you kind of need to get to that mindset.
Yeah,
But
I think
then
Nick. Sorry, I think Nick touched on it before, and it's something I think a lot of collectors come to naturally, but it's a useful thing to think about if you haven't. It's that curation of your collection is, as Nick said, he's decided that he doesn't care about diaries. He doesn't care about the Phantom game. He's narrowing in his collection. And I think everyone does that. Everyone, well, certainly, don't mean everyone. I'll talk for myself. You start off collecting comics by basically not throwing away the ones that you buy. Then you actively go out looking for comics that were published before the ones that you bought so you could read more of it. Then you notice there's more stuff out there. Oh, look, there's a Phantom in my case, there was a sunglasses case. Or he's on a mug, he's on this, he's on this. So you go, oh, I'll pick that up, I'll pick that up, I'll pick that up. And all of a sudden, as you get a little bit older and get a bit more money, you discover that your collection has got very broad. And do you really care about this item that you picked up for a few dollars a time? Do you care about Phantom Diaries? Well, not really. Well, do you need them in your collection? If you don't need them in your collection, they're not bringing you joy. We'll go to Marie. Is it Marie Kondo? Marie Kondo. If they're not bringing you joy, do you need them? So that's that curation to bring it to a point where you're focusing on something that you're interested in, and that can change over the journey. Just because, and you can. When I've bought stuff I've sold before because I got rid of it and thought I'd actually wanted that back. That's part of it until you get to the end. I think it's the narrowing and the focusing, and then the constant control of your collection rather than letting your collection control you.
yeah.
And so when it comes down to you get to 70, 80, 102, and you want to get rid of your collection, there's two ways basically. Get rid of it in bulk, and that involve trying to find someone who wants to buy everything. And really, people don't really buy instant collections. People want to buy something that would be buying and selling. So you take it to your local auction house. You go see Jermayn here, and then you're going to pay a commission to them of X amount of percent, 15, 20, 25%, depends where you're going to, and 30%, yeah. People always say they call it flea bay. Well, go to your local auction house and get more, but at least you're going to get rid of it. They take their cut. Some things you'll get a great price for. Some things will get a lower price for. It's going to take probably a few months to a year because they're not going to flood the market with Phantom comics and Phantom art. This is a whole thing. But the main thing is they've got it. You're going to get your money back some of your money back over time, and you'll be pissed off if someone to surprise others. Other bit is you've got to sell it individually. If you've got 2,000 comics in your collection, that's going to take a long time over Facebook and eBay. You are going to get a better price for it, but that's the time. And even when we've talked about this before recently with another friend who buys a lot of comics and collections and stuff. If I ever bought a collection of 1,000 Phantom comics to resell, it has to be a very low price. But pretty much everything over 1,000, I'll be selling off as blocks of 100.
Yeah.
Because that's easy. They fit pretty much in an A4 paper box. Here's 100 comics, $150 delivered, because that's what they're worth. But you get them out the door. That's the work you would do yourself. So it depends on how much time you've got up your sleeve. If you've been diagnosed with something, or you're 83 and your breathing is getting a bit dodgy and you're not feeling that there's many years ahead of you, you got to make a decision, and that's how quickly do you want to get things done and what legacy do you want to leave behind? Your kids might say to you, no, we'll sell it for you. You can't, no, that's a terrible thing to do.
Yeah.
Again, and how are you going to educate them on, this is a folder of that Intrepid put out when their fan cards came out. I've always wanted this. It's a whole bunch of flashy cards. Got it the other day. I'm very happy I've had this small collection. I've had it online for ages. How are they going to know what's that worth versus
Jermayn, that's worth $20, isn't it?
Yeah,
$20?
$20. I'll tell you what, I'll do you a favor and I'll buy it off you for 40, so you double your money.
Excellent.
Oh, I'm out.
But how do they know the difference between a full set of Series 1? They don't.
They don't.
The research, you want them doing days of research for something that's worth $50 worth something that's worth $20, $200. No, that's the risk.
So
Which brings me back to the best person to know what your collection is worth should be you.
But also, then is that the right way thing too, Sean? Because we've seen this before with certain collectors, and I've seen people try to post things online, but just ridiculous things. Because they were limited edition, so great, limited to 300 items. There's 300 people bought them before, but there's no one buying them now because again, things do drop in price. I've seen someone who's had one of the ring sets. They've got 9 of the Goodmark pendant, 9 of the rings and stuff, and they've got in their Phantom Museum and stuff like that. It's like, no, they're just mass produced still. They're not special.
But Nick, they're the same number. They're the same number though, Nick.
And that's another thing. Like, but you get the matching thing. If you get, it's all 100. Each one's 172 or 300. Doesn't matter. You'll put them up on to sell. You're not selling them, so therefore you're not valuing them right. So are you the best person to sell your own collection?
Well, see, the difference with people like that sometimes is, do they really want to sell, or do they really want to say they tried to sell?
Yeah. Well, I think the best, if you're going to get more money selling it individually.
Yep.
But if you are to do that, it's going to take a lot more time. It's going to take a lot more effort. If you can do it, great. It's better to do that before, because your family doesn't want to do it.
It also depends. That's right, Jermayn, is like, how do you value your time? So at the moment, we all work. We can value our time in a dollar sense. I know how much I get paid per hour, what I take home, etc. So when I'm selling things, they could take a long time, but I'm doing it because I like buying and selling. But when you're in your 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, you're retired, you've got more time in your hands. But then, my daughter's probably still at home because housing will be unaffordable, but she'll be at university or working. My wife will be, hopefully retired as well. We've got time. It's our time to go. We're going to go traveling. We're going to go to a parent's place on the east coast of Tasmania and go to the beach and do some bushwalks and stuff. Do I want to spend my time selling 2,500 Phantom items over the next 5 years? I don't know, because that's time I want to spend having those memories with my wife and my daughter.
But
and
yeah, and I think one of the points that we did jot down and we haven't said is you got to talk to your family about the best way of doing it beforehand. But if you do sell it individually over time, the best way of doing it is not to set the market, let the market tell you what it's worth. And that's free advice from, someone who's worked in an auction company for, 10 plus years, is list it for $10, list it for $5, list it for 99 cents, and the market will tell you what it's worth. And there'll be some stuff that will sell good, and other stuff you'll be going, oh, crikey, I paid $400 for that and I sold it for $20.
I think, Jermayn, just on that, we're circling back to the start. It's about sunken cost. You've spent the money. You've enjoyed the collection.
Yeah.
You've got what you wanted out of it. Anything you get back from that is
a bonus.
How you go about maximizing that bonus there's lots of ways to do it. And look, if you had a fruit number 1 and 1,000 and 200 comics above 1,500, they're worth about, I don't know, $22,000. And the fruit number 1 is worth about $22,000. So you could sell the fruit number 1 and give the rest away, and that's okay because you're still ahead. It's about understanding the fact that you've spent the money. the collection was collected for you to enjoy. It has served its purpose. Everything is a bonus.
Yeah. I think we might leave that part of the conversation there. That's a good way of leaving that. One of the things I do want to discuss before we do wrap up, and we'll kind of have a bit after this too, if there's anything that we feel like we've missed, is what to do with leftover comics. Now, we've talked a lot about, Frews over 900 are basically worth $1 to 50 cents each. We've talked about that, and we're talking about Frew comics, but it's, very similar as the Mad Cave comics, Moonstone comics, King Charlton comics, Phantom Men comics. When you're dealing with a big pile of them, hundreds and hundreds, and in some cases, thousands and thousands, not everyone's going to want those. They're hard to move. What do you do with your leftover comics? Now, for those who are with that are on the LFMBEC Australia mailing list, they've talked about how they've donated hundreds of the comics to the Children's Hospital. So that's one way of how to deal with leftover comics. Have you got anything else you want to share about that?
You stole my thunder.
Oh, sorry, mate.
It's all right. But that is one thing we do every couple of years. Every time there's a dinner, we ask, well, not every time, every couple of years we ask for donations. They go to the kids hospital. They get to enjoy them. What's the worst that can happen? That some kids might like the Phantom and they might end up being collectors like us. They're not in show bags anymore. So if they can pick them up for free from somewhere, and let's be honest, those kids are going through some tough times. So if it improves their time, good on it.
Over thousands, like, if donate it, go to your local op shop, just donate them to your Vinnies, your Salvos, your City Mission, or whatever you got in your local city. Give them to them.
Secondhand bookstores, all that type of thing.
Yeah.
Another place that's worth doing is charities. Like, there's a lot of charities out there that have like refuges, women's shelters for domestic violence. And there's all sorts of that. I actually know of a creator who read his first Phantom comic, when they were in a family shelter. So, like, that's a story of how someone who we're actually enjoying their stories now become of that. I also have heard of a story of a refugee from another country who came to Australia, got a Phantom comic from one of the shelters, from one of the places, and he recognized it because he knew of the Phantom from where he came from. And so it gave him a sense of belonging to this country, because he's like, oh, wow, they got Phantom comic here. I know of the Phantom from where they came.
Just one thing to be mindful of there as well. Just because you're giving something away for free to these organisations, don't be offended if they say no. They've only got limited storage. They've got rules, all the rest of it as well. To them, 1,000 comics might be great, or it might be a massive pain in the ass that they have to say no to as well. So don't get offended if someone says no to your free stuff, because your free stuff can still be trash.
So I also do think, though, that what we're talking about is paying it forward, giving it to someone who may enjoy it without expecting something back.
Yep.
So it could be the local school going and saying, do you want 100 comics to stick in your library? And if they get trashed and get thrown out after a couple of days, well, does it really matter? It's paying it forward somewhere.
So when I started collecting, I had someone who sold me his collection. So I had my 20, 30, I think I was nearing about 50 comics. I had $300 from Christmas, work and stuff like that. And someone sold me his collection. Now, he sold it to me dirt cheap. I think it was like $250. It was a lot for a 12, 13-year-old, but he had about 400 comics. He had all the trading cards, well, most of the trading cards with some holes. There was the odd Monkeys in Melbourne mug and stuff like that. And so for $250, the guy would have not got his money back.
Good investment, Jermayn, for you.
Yeah, it was a great investment for me. But it was something that he paid it forward. He
It was a
goes,
better investment for Frew, let's be honest.
yeah, yeah. But it was that passing it forward, which you just made mention of, where, he passed it to someone who was able to enjoy it. And I've still got some of those comics. Some of those comics I've read to death and they've been thrown or they've been passed on to someone else. But that part of the collection that he sold to me for that $200 wouldn't have, it would have probably been easier for him to throw it out. But that hooked me. So maybe when you pass that comic on to a school, to a charity, to a secondhand bookstore, to a hospital, it is might hook that next collector. And then you never know. That next collector might be the one that will actually pay top dollar for your collection that you want to sell down the path.
It's going to hurt me to say this, but isn't that the phantom way to do things? Just pass things forward.
Yes. Yes. And can I
Don't
say,
laugh at me, Nick. Stop laughing.
don't be that Muppet on Facebook a couple of years ago who took photos of him destroying his collection.
Oh,
Allegedly.
yeah, I'm with Nick. I think there was some well-placed items that looked like it, but he was a tool. Let's be honest.
Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. If you have fallen out of love with the fandom and it's not going to make your money back, it is okay to pass it on. Get whatever you can, the 5, 10%, 20%. Keep the memories. The memories is what is important.
Well,
The
and Jermaine,
friendships.
on that, if that foolish person had given those items to the Salvation Army or St. Vincent de Paul or any of those op shops, those items would have been sold for whatever price, which would have actually helped people in need. So by doing that, it literally cut his nose off to spite his face.
Yep.
Yeah. So look, hopefully that kind of discussion has at least started the conversation with you to be able to whether it's an internal conversation, whether it's something you discuss with your family, like, hey, I'm getting on. Are there items that you like, that you would like, that remember, that there might be memories of, or whatever? Like, I know of a story like with one collector on their honeymoon, they went and brought something. So for them, that thing that they brought on their honeymoon would be priceless compared to things that would actually be worth more because of that memory. So you might have some items that they're memorable between you and your kids or your family. Have that conversation with your family. Start to have that conversation with yourself. Go through that Swedish death cleaning. Listen to the podcast. Hopefully, it's at least triggered something because, yeah, it's the memories. It's the memories and the friendships that you've created.
Yeah.
100%.
Now, before we go, is there anything else you just want to quickly talk about, whether it's anything about conservation? We talked a little bit about slabbing, anything that you've that we missed or we kind of skipped over during the last hour?
One thing that reminded me then too, Jim, was around slabbing of your comics is your artwork. Make sure that's obviously, in acid-free paper or folders and stuff.
Yeah, storage. Yeah.
I have all my artwork minus one or two things framed. Just remember, just because you spent $200 framing a $100 piece of fan artwork, it hasn't increased the value by $200. It's still worth $90 because framing does not add value. It's annoying to post. It's not in someone else's style. Framing, just write the cost off. The artwork's what's important.
Yeah, that's about making it look nice so you can enjoy it.
Yep.
That's not a cost that you can pass on to someone else. Well, you can try it, but you shouldn't expect that you're going to get that cost back. That's not an investment.
But if you've got your trading cards, put them in your cases, put them in your Ultra Pro sleeves. Put your comics in your comic bags. If you are going to keep stuff and collect stuff, at least, if you're buying a free comic every fortnight to keep, spend the 25 cents on a board and a bag and look after your stuff, because that will make, if you do want to sell it on the track, that will make a difference. Don't trash your stuff.
Getting back to that framing stuff, Nick, too. If you're going to frame it properly. UV resistant glass.
Yep.
Make sure it's not stuck down to a backing board, so you can actually you should be able to pull the frame and pull the mount off and have the artwork undamaged. it's all about storage of comics. If you're going to have an investment, make sure you actually look after it.
Respect your stuff.
100%. And enjoy it. That's why we all collect it, to enjoy it. So enjoy it.
Yeah, very good. With the last line I've got is, at the end of the day, it's a hobby. Enjoy your collection, but do not burden your family with your fetish.
Fetish.
Not too keen the last word there, Jim, but anyway.
Wouldn't have gone there, but okay.
Whatever floats your boat, Jermayn, that's your choice.
You're exactly right. It's, if you want to go that way,
No judgment. We're going to judge you.
we will.
All right. Thank you for listening or watching us. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Sean, for joining us. Our website is chroniclechamber.com and our email is chroniclechamber@gmail.com. We would love to hear your thoughts, feedbacks, and opinions on our social media platforms or over at our YouTube channel, especially about this topic. If you've got something that we've missed, let us know. You can subscribe to us via YouTube or through your favourite podcast apps, including iTunes or Spotify. Thank you. Please get in contact with us. And as always, happy fans. You guys aren't going to say it?
Well, we haven't yet, so
What do you expect us to?
Seriously.
He finds